No matter where you look across the vast stretches of the known world, every location is stained with some form of dark past. Tragedy and pain stain the lands that we often roam, whether we remember them or not, whether known or unknown. Sometimes we stumble upon these haunted pasts without ever meaning to, awakening a darkness that has been waiting for its chance to reemerge. Hello friends, and welcome back to ETF. Most of the time, I try to cover films that no one is talking about, rather than following the trends and covering the hottest new movie to drop this week. I don't know if you guys love that I take this approach or hate it, but I feel like it's a change of pace that works for me, and helps with the fact that I can't exactly afford to keep up to date all the time. Today, I thought we would go back and look at a film that I saw long before ever starting this channel, and it's one that I haven't really thought about since that initial viewing. Shot in Grand Rapids, Michigan, the little-known film Playback follows a group of high school students attempting to make their own horror film. Unwittingly digging into their town's infamous past, they accidentally unlock an evil that corrupts and destroys them, possessing its victims through video playback and using them for malevolent purposes. It closes in on one specific soul, threatening to expose the town's deepest and darkest secret. One of the biggest strengths of Playback is its ability to create a tense and foreboding atmosphere. The film is set in a small town with a dark history, and the sense of unease permeates every scene. Director Michael A. Nichols uses a combination of lighting, sound design, and camera work to build suspense and keep the audience as close to the edge of their seats as he can get them. The film also features a talented cast with standout performances from Christian Slater as a detective investigating the supernatural events, who feels like he's delivering a pretty basic Christian Slater performance here, and Amber Childers as our protagonist, Juliet. The chemistry between the cast is fairly believable, and the characters are well-rounded and pretty engaging. The film makes use of practical effects, which I always appreciate, particularly in the scenes involving the supernatural entity. This was a personal delight for me, given that lower-budget films like this will opt to enhance their supernatural elements with CG, in an attempt to beef up the visual spectacle of it. The creature design is both creepy and fairly unique, and the use of the practical effects adds a little bit of an extra layer of authenticity to the horror. Visually, this film does a lot with very little, cramming in a decent amount of substance in an otherwise standard-looking horror experience. Somewhat similar to how the sponsor of today's episode brings together a lot of visual information and storytelling into one beautiful work of art. Didn't think I'd be able to transition this one, did ya? Movie Palette is an eye-catching and unique piece of artwork that holds a deep secret. Your friends and family will be intrigued by the fascinating story that each movie palette has to tell. Every stripe represents a color of a particular scene in the movie. Each stripe is put in chronological order to give you a perfect representation of your favorite film in one stunning work of art. The effect is a gorgeous and accurate representation of the colors and vibrancy found in your favorite movies. As its secret is revealed, Movie Palette is sure to become a conversational piece, as you try to guess which colors represent which scene. The best part about these for me is that it's a piece of art that showcases the visual look of a film, through the captivating color palette that makes it capture our imaginations. Not often do we see the color of a film so beautifully celebrated, which is why ETF has partnered with Movie Palette to bring you this exclusive offer. Head on over to moviepalette.com, pick the movie palette of your favorite film, and use the promo code EMBRACE15 at checkout to get 15% off your purchase. That's EMBRACE15 to get 15% off your purchase from Movie Palette. And now, back to the video. However, like any low-budget film, Playback is not without its flaws. The film suffers from some pacing issues, particularly in the first half, and some of the plot points feel contrived and a little predictable. The film also leans heavily on horror tropes, making it feel somewhat formulaic at times. I personally don't see anything wrong with the film being formulaic, given that the formula is what draws us horror fans back more often than not. But I can understand if this is a drawback for some. One of the larger problems with this film is the way it seems to be advertised, with many of its descriptions alluding to the film being about an ex-cop, played by Christian Slater, investigating a mysterious killer. This is simply not true. For a start, Christian Slater's part in this film is little more than an extended cameo, and it seems to be a blatant attempt by the studio or promoters to do their best at cashing in on the one and only semi-big name attached to the project. This is something that happens a lot in the genre, where studios just buy up a project and tack their own shit onto it to make it more bankable. Some prime examples being the 2 Cloverfield sequels, which were generic sci-fi scripts that the studio then just crammed into the Cloverfield franchise. Despite these minor issues, Playback is a solid horror film that is well worth watching. The film's tense atmosphere, strong performances, and effective use of practical effects make it an engaging viewing experience. The exploration of the consequences of digging too deep into the past is also a very interesting theme to wrap your plot around. That adds depth to the horror. I'm going to give Playback a C+. This is a solid little horror film that I honestly think is worth watching for fans of the genre. While it does suffer from some pacing issues and some basic plot elements, the film's tense atmosphere, strong performances, and effective use of practicals make it an engaging viewing experience for probably your generic horror audience. Well, friends, that's gonna be all for now. If you enjoyed this video, please consider helping out a struggling puppet, and check out our Patreon. Until next time, stay safe, and as always, thanks for watching.